and then I'm going to finish up talking about today's buying opportunity. So first off, my name is Brendan Murphy. I'm a residential real estate broker with Dreamtown Realty. I've been selling real estate full-time since 2005, servicing the Chicagoland market. So I work the city and suburban areas. I've represented hundreds of clients and have sold over $140 million worth of residential real estate since 2005. There are 4 lines of business that I specialize in. So first is new construction and development. I'm going to give you the 4 first, and then I'm going to go through them in a little more detail. Second is the luxury market, which I basically define as 1 million plus properties. And then third is general resale, which is basically first-time buyers, move-up buyers, people looking for an in-town, moving into town, moving out of town, or just an in-town residence. And then number 4 is investment properties. So buyers and sellers have very different needs. So working with the buyer is very different than having a listing. Fortunately, through the last downturn, I was forced to transition from primarily a listing agent and working with sellers to completely shift my business to working primarily with buyers. And so I went from 80% buyers, 20%, or 80% sellers before the downturn to 80% buyers during the downturn. And so that really helped balance my knowledge and my approach. And then when the market shifted back, went back to the listing side of it, because you can kind of handle more clients at the same time. But I will say it's made me a better agent in having that experience. So I do work actively with buyers and sellers, and I have experience in both. And with my first line of business, new construction development, I basically help developers source land that is useful. So it's got the right zoning, it's the right size, it's in the right location. We pull comps for what they can build on the property, come up with a plan, and then I have to pair it with, R3 zoning is basically single family, so I have to pair that with a single family developer. And so R4, R5, which allow for more density, for B classification.
Brendan Murphy, real estate agent here at Papa Joe.
So I've gone through the city zoning code and have a pretty good sense of it. I've summarized it in a spreadsheet, but I basically have it by memory. So I have a list of developers that I call based on the general criteria that the property has, and I try to match up property with developers. I recently did a land deal about 2.5 weeks ago by Wrigley Field. It's under contract now. It's a project coming for the new year. He's going to break ground at the beginning of February, and we're going to plan to put the units on the market next summer. So it's I don't just get up here and talk about it. It's something I'm very active in. Second line of business. So obviously with that, the objective, the numbers need to work. The project needs to be profitable. So in addition to everything else, so it's not an easy needle to thread, but it takes a little bit of time and some experience, and fortunately I have both. So with the luxury market, the high-end properties, again, as I've spoken in the past, this isn't a line of business that I, kind of set out to be in. It's a good place to end up. I had experience working with high net worth people, my background in corporate banking, and so it was kind of a natural fit for me when I got into real estate to have a portion of my business be in the high-end market. It's higher price point, so obviously it's a good place to be, but you also need higher service, and it's a higher end touch as well. So it's something that needs a little bit more attention than the regular first-time buyer, general resale. And I wouldn't say that they require less attention, it's just a different level of service. So the luxury market, I always end up doing about 25% of my annual business in the luxury segment. In the past year, I sold a $2.8 million house in Bannockburn, which we sold it in half the average market time for the area, and we matched the highest price in the last 24 months that anything had sold it. So, helping my clients really achieve impactful results. So with the luxury single families and condos, so basically in the suburbs it's primarily luxury single families. In the city you have luxury condos in addition to luxury single families. And so there are differences between the buyers, between the sellers, and that type of thing. And then with the city, I experience in all of the different city areas that are, kind of more desirable or higher price point. So that would be over half of the city neighborhoods that I have like direct experience with, from Rogers Park down to Hyde Park all the way to Mount Greenwood Park. out to Oak Park, and kind of everything in between.
Wanda,
And then I've given here on my sheet that I passed out, city neighborhoods that I have a lot of experience in, and then the suburban locations that I have a lot of experience in. And so I grew up southwest suburbs, so I've got a lot of friends and family down there.
Oh, nice.
I've done some business out west, so going, my brother lives in Western Springs, all the way out to like
Steve. Go ahead,
Plainfield,
Steve.
all over, and kind of everything all the way in. And then going out the expressway to 90, I got some family up northwest, so that was my original introduction to the northwest suburbs. And so, from Arlington Heights to Splains, Hoffman Estates, Palatine, Mount Prospect, Prospect Heights, kind of everything in between there, Barrington. And then north, I live in Northbrook, so done business in Glen Cove, Kenilworth, Winnetka, Wilmette, Lake Forest, Northbrook, Glenview, and Niles, kind of everything around there as well. So, I've got experience in pretty much all of the suburban areas as well. So I don't, there's some agents that stay within, an 8-block, radius. I kind of follow the business where it takes me. And so, I had a client who took me out to St. Charles one time. I had helped them buy a condo in the city. They wanted to sell their house in Hoffman Estates, which I helped them do. Helped them find a good deal on a place in St. Charles. They bought that a couple of years later. They wanted to sell it and move back into the city. And so, that's a little bit about how my business has evolved over time. And so, moving on then to general resale. So first-time buyers, I've got a lot of experience with first-time buyers. So just because I do $1 million plus doesn't mean that I don't also service the other end of the market. So definitely people looking for their first condo, people looking for their first starter home. Then I've got move-up buyers. So a couple years later, after they, first-time buyers, end up starting families and things of that nature, decide that they no longer want to be so close to the city center, or maybe they need more space. So a lot of experience working with move-up buyers. And so, I had one earlier this year where I placed the guy in a condo in Wicker Park, a 2-bed, 2-bath. So since then he's gotten married, he's had a kid. So he needed to go from a 2-2, 1,200 square feet to a 3-2.5 duplex down with 2,400 square feet. So helped him get a great deal on the place he was selling, and also get a good deal on the place he was buying. So that's what I call, a good outcome. So what I try to help people do is get a good outcome on both sides of the equation. And so a lot of people think that that's not achievable, but if it's something you focus on, which is, my whole objective is to help people build wealth through real estate, create wealth, and preserve and conserve wealth. So even if you're a cash buyer and you already have wealth, I'm going to try and help you hold on to it and maybe grow it a little bit, because I know that that's going to be good for my business down the road. And I don't just want to be your realtor for this transaction, I want to be your realtor for life. So that's my whole approach, and that's why I approach it that way. So beyond the general resale, then you have investment property. So you have people that are looking for, rather than living in a house, maybe they would consider living in a 2-flat. So with the 2-flat, you can get a residential mortgage on it. And then you also have rental income to help you with the property taxes and with the other payments. So that's not for everybody. And then you have other people that have, made money in other fields that want to park some money in real estate. So they may look for a multifamily property, 5+ units. So I've got a client now who's looking for anything from a 30 unit up to a 60 unit. So you have people that manage multifamily properties as well. And then you have mixed use. So somebody who maybe is a business and they want to occupy the first floor and maybe have some residential upstairs to help offset the expenses. So I have experience in all these different types of properties. So what is the benefit of working with Brendan Murphy?
Good morning, Stephanie,
And
Kimberly,
why does any of this matter to you?
Carol.
So it shows you that I have a wealth of experience and a proven track record of using my knowledge and experience to help the clients I serve achieve a favorable outcome. And I've already explained a little bit about what a favorable outcome looks like. Favorable outcome is a real estate purchase or sale that is relatively better than comparable properties that have recently traded for. And so I do have, I'm consistently able to outperform the market. Not in every case, but in over half the cases, you'll see that my clients will buy for less than a comparable sale, a recent comparable sale in the area, or sell for more. And so how am I able to repeatedly deliver better than market results to my clients? In some cases, at the same time on both sides of the equation, simultaneous purchase and sales. And so over the past 15 years that I've been in the business selling real estate, I've developed a Murphy method of helping buyers and sellers that I represent. And this is my competitive advantage. and it allows me to focus on meeting my clients' wants and needs while simultaneously helping them to achieve a great deal on the place they are buying or selling. So my focus on the pertinent deals throughout the process, combined with my home negotiation skills, translates into favorable outcomes for the clients that I serve. Okay? That's a big statement. Okay? And I live it every day. Okay? So moving on, we have today's buying opportunity. So back in 2015, 2016, you had multiple buyers for every property. Okay? So basically what happened, a property would come on the market on Thursday, you know, by the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you had, you know, 10, 12, 15, 20 groups scheduling showings, coming through open houses, interested in. So this is what I call the pack. The pack comes in, they look at it, you know, 4 or 5 of the groups end up making an offer on it. One party gets it, the rest of the pack moves on for the next property. So at the time, you had people fighting over property, everything was getting bid up, it was multiple offer, and then since then, you know, interest rates started to climb. They got up over 4.5%, closer to 5% as of about a year ago. There wasn't a lot of inventory, and so this confluence of factors has caused the market to slow down a little bit. Okay, and so now you have the market, you know, properties are sitting there a little bit of time, prices have come down a little bit, interest rates were high, you know, as of this July, August, rates came down to about 3.5%. They've crept a little bit since then, back up to 3.75, between 3.75 and 4%, which is still a very attractive rate. And so now you have time to negotiate with buyers and sellers. And so this is basically a dream come true, okay, for a lot of people that are in the market, you know. So as I wrote here in my the next page, you know, these are market conditions that buyers literally fantasized about just a couple of years ago. If only I had more choices, if only I had time to think through this and have a meaningful negotiation with the seller. If only I had been looking when interest rates were lower. You know, I missed my chance, you know, and so now you have a second chance. You haven't missed your chance. Buyers have a tendency to want what everybody else has at a time when there is more competition to get it, and when conditions are far less favorable, resulting in a higher price. Okay? Why is that? Anyone with a 5 to 7 year time horizon who buys in the next 12 months by the culmination of next year's election cycle will ultimately prove to be a genius move. Okay? The market factors that make it the best buying opportunity in Chicago, you know, possibly in our lifetime, at least in recent memory, especially if you want to upgrade from where you're at. For those who really want to check out, reach out.
Brandon Murphy,
before the end of the year,
real estate agent.
You know, when most buyers are kind of enjoying the holidays and doing their holiday shopping. And so I have a call to action here as well. So with so much market knowledge and experience in the real estate industry, I can honestly say that I have seen it all, and I will be an asset to you throughout the buying and or selling process. Reach out to me today, send me a referral for your friends or family with the real estate needs. I would love to connect with them and you to discuss the current needs and see how I can help you achieve your objectives. And I look forward to helping you and your friends and family build and preserve wealth through real estate, and I'm available for your call anytime. Thank you very much for your time today.
Awesome. Hey Brent, you want to take a couple questions real quick?
Sure thing.
Okay. Steve, take it.
Talk about the commission and how it varies with working for the buyer.
Sure, that's a great question. The one that a lot of people don't know the answer to. So basically, there's one for 2 agents in any transaction, one representing the buyer and one representing the seller. Okay? So the seller pays the commission for both agents. Okay, so the listing agent splits the commission with the buyer's agent. So the buyer basically gets to take advantage of
That house here today, Cup of Joe.
so they don't have to pay.
There's a big crowd out there.
The seller's paying it, even though when I'm representing the buyer, the commission is
Good morning, Carol, Nancy, Dan.
from the seller. I have a fiduciary responsibility to the buyer. Okay, so although I'm getting paid by the seller, my loyalty is to the buyer. That's who I represent. And so, so the idea with this is that the seller already has the property. They have a little bit more.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Nancy.
And ultimately, that's where the money's going to go, is to the listing. Okay, so they can afford it. And so the buyer then, once they buy the property, they will own it when they turn around and sell it. They will be paying both sides of the commission. So that's how it is equitable over the long run. In the beginning, it seems like the seller's getting hammered, but the seller turns around and buys, so they're going to get out of one property and into another. We're basically 2 sides of the commission. For sure, yeah, there's room for negotiation on commission. There are different types of brokers out there. You have, I mean, everything from no frills, no service, where you do your own showings, you host your own open houses, and all they do is put it on the MLS. And you can get that for a lower commission. And then you have people middle of the road who are kind of somewhat half-assed, pardon my French, who will, will give you a little bit of a break on the commission. Then you have a full-service brokerage that charges this kind of the going rate in Chicago, but you get full service, and so you'll get their personal attention, at showings. They'll host open houses. They'll do high-end, photos, enhanced photos. I always do enhanced photos. Drone photography where it's beneficial. You can do interior video, which video is kind of the thing that's trending now on the internet. So that's also gives you better placement on Zillow. And then there's follow-up, more knowledge and experience with the agent is going to translate into a higher sale price, ability to negotiate. So yeah, there's definitely room to negotiate, but as the old saying goes, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brendan, where do you foresee the spring market around here?
So, it's interesting you say that. This past year was, was slower than anticipated. So the spring last year, January, February were pretty good. It kind of flattened and been choppy through March, April, May, June. Usually you see month-over-month increases the further you get into the year, and that didn't happen this past year, much to the surprise of a lot of people in the business. So in June and July was very slow. Interest rates dropped at the end of July and the beginning of August. And August, which is usually the second slowest month next to December, we had a little bit of a pop in activity. A lot of people had put their, decision on hold, and so hadn't taken advantage of it. When rates dropped to 3.5, people were like, screw it, I don't know what I'm waiting for, I'm going to take advantage of the low rates now. So the rates have crept a little bit since then. We did have the Fed drop rates recently, as you know, the past 60 days, and so the rate did trend back down a little bit, and so now we basically have stock market, which is approaching all-time highs, which hit all-time highs last week, which is a leading indicator. So that's something when you look at the last downturn, the stock market peaked 18 months before, before things kind of got a little bit hairy and a little bit up. So that's the thing that I look at to give me a sense as to where we are. A lot of people are talking about we're going into a recession next year. Well, at this point in the game, the sky is not falling. I think the fears of discussion of a recession will be overblown, and I think the spring market is actually going to be surprisingly strong.
Yes.
For your buyers, do you recommend pre-sales before they put it on the market to sellers?
For sellers, so it depends on the property. If the property is well maintained, if it looks good, shows good, not in all cases. In most cases, I do. I have a 10,000 square foot single family in Glencoe. We're talking about a listing price of $4.5 million. For that one, there's 8 furnaces. So I think a pre-sale inspection is definitely, a pre-market inspection is definitely a good idea. You can kind of get your arms around some of the problems that the home may have. But for an average home, it can be a good idea depending on the circumstances, but I don't always recommend. Okay. Yeah. But it is part of the checklist that we go through and we discuss before when we do.
All right.
So average commission, the going rate in Chicago right now is 6%. So a discount shop will do 5%, somewhere in the 5%. And then if you have like complete no frills, that's probably somewhere in the 4%. But and then you have people that for sale by owner that will do a flat fee listing and offer it on the MLS where they only pay the buyer's percent, which is
Morning, Chris. And Nancy. And Dan.
And so I will say this: that people that do not use a realtor end up achieving a 17% lower sale price than the people that do use a realtor. You have a much smaller buyer pool. You're not able to negotiate. You don't have a lot of leverage in the conversation. You don't have a lot of buyers coming in with interest in the place, awareness. And so, so even if you pay the full service 6%, or you do it on your own and you give up 17%, you're still up 11% by using a professional. And that's historical data. They've done studies on it, and that's where the numbers should go. So, you know, although it may seem a little bit painful to have to do that, a good realtor, as I always say, like a good accountant, pays for himself.
All right.
What about if your house is up for sale and you have 4 different real estate agents?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people coming in.
Yeah.
Then switch it over to you doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting more people coming in. Why?
Maybe you're working hard. You know, maybe you're spending more time doing open houses or.
No, this is just putting it up on the MLS and all the other places. And we are getting more people coming to our house, looking at the property and saying, we're gonna think about it, but this is something we're looking for.
Has there been adjustment in the price?
No.
Okay, the market has improved a little bit.
Okay, maybe that's
Earlier in the year.
We just had 2 people Saturday and Sunday come over in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, that usually doesn't.
Well, a lot of people put their plans on hold earlier in the year, so a lot of people who were trying to buy in the spring and summer haven't done it yet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
So, being in the business that I'm in, I talk to a lot of people that do real estate closings without permits.
Okay.
Basically, so what's your professional opinion on having an attorney at the closing versus not having an attorney at the closing?
So that's a conversation for outside of the Chicagoland area. So everybody, or most people outside of the Chicagoland area, there's not a real estate attorney involved. Within the Chicagoland area, I've only ever had one situation where a buyer went through a closing without a real estate attorney. It's necessary. I can't exactly explain why. The title situation is different here, and I think you need a real estate attorney to navigate that, whereas other places, the real estate attorneys are proficient with that and they're able to help out. I think it's a little bit simpler. But I just to finish up on that point, I've represented attorneys who hire a real estate attorney to represent them. So I mean, it's not that people here aren't smart enough to do it, it's just very complicated.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah.
All right.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Okay.